Hi guys, still here with a new video, and this video I'm gonna talk again about my boy Frost DKs, and I'm going to say that I'm actually excited for the first time in at least two expansions. I'm actually excited about Frost DK, and I want to talk about it. I'm going to give you a warning that the balancing is not finished yet. There's still a few things that are really tied to PvP where you have like huge reductions whenever you're entering PvP combat. So it depends if they're going to stay. If it's going to stay like this or not. But overall, I am actually excited about Frost Decay. Frost Decay has two extraordinary hero talents, which are very much gameplay alternating talents that you can use. So you can play Deathbringer, or you can also play Rider of the Apocalypse, and both are actually legit very good. And it will depend on your play style, it will depend on your build, and you will be playing both. I think there is no world where you're only going to play Deathbringer and the world you're going to only play Rider of the Apocalypse, because it really depends on who you're facing, the build that you're playing, and just overall the game mode that you're playing. If you're playing 2s, 3s, RPGs, even solo RPGs, solo shuffle, whatever you're going to play, even world PvP, you have multiple builds going on. So that's actually a great thing. There's still a few things that I would say like, maybe you could like remove this or add this, or but by any means I actually like the talent trees. I already made a video about it, so I'm not going to go too in depth because I already have a video for it. So if you want to check that out, I will put that in the description. But this is pretty much me talking about the great things I like about Frost Decay. Frost Decay, first and foremost, has now Ice Cap having a 15-second cooldown. So it means that it lines up perfectly with Disarm. Disarm has also a 45-second CD, and the good thing is that obviously you're going to pop your Pillar of Frost, and they have to react on a disarm or whatever. So your CD is going to come up a bit faster than theirs. So obviously you will have a lot of outplay mechanics where you do CC the disarm spec that you are facing, for example the warrior, the rogue, or whatever, and he's going to trinket disarm. That is going to happen, or he is going to sit it down and hope for the better, which often doesn't really work out for Frost Decays. Like against Frost Decays, if you don't like trinket or react in time for your Pillar of Frost go, then they might just die because of that. But not only that, we have multiple things that are playing around the consistent damage dealing ability from Frost Decays. And I'm actually very excited because I feel like I have to make choices on the spec trees. For example, Frostworm Fury is super easy to get because it's above the last tier, I would say, of talents. So from here, you only need like I think 8 talents, then you can just like go back to Frostworm's Fury. But from here you need to have spent 20 talents, so you can actually spend the last 10 talents to get the bottom tiers, which are very, very good talents. And I think the only thing that I really regret is that they still have Absolute Zero on a separate talent, and God knows if you're playing your Frostworm's Fury, you will be playing Absolute Zero. There's like no options of not playing it. You could like try to disregard it, but there are like a few things. For example, on Rider of the Apocalypse, you want to be able to Frostworm Fury as much as you can, and you have like a 1.5 minute CD here because of that. So having a 3 minute CD makes it like a bit hard to use Rider of the Apocalypse, for example. But that aside, there's a few things that are very, very cool. So we have obviously a bit of improvement towards the left side of the tree. If you remember, obliteration was the last talent. Now, whenever you're using obliterate, like your Pillar of Frost, you're going to send, every time you're going to consume killing machines, it's going to send a glacial advance. Now, the good thing is about that is it is not tied to Pillar of Frost. So every time you have a killing machine, you're going to be able to stack reliably your Razor Eyes, because your razor eyes gets applied by your glacial advance, and it gets also applied by your howling blast with rhyme. So that's a great thing. So it's very reliable, and you could actually play with Shattering Blade. Now the issue is with Shattering Blade is that you don't really have too many talents to be able to spend on everything you want, but that's kind of the beauty of that talent tree. You want to be able to make choices depending on the playstyle you're going. You don't want to have everything, because then you're just kind of busted and kind of shoved into the nerf section of the next patches. So that's a good thing, but you could sacrifice a few things. For example, cryogenic chamber, you could get like easily Shattering Blade, or if you want to have like more damage on your howling blast, you could play like a build like that. So there is multiple things that you can play around, which are fantastic choices you can make going on whenever you're playing your Frost Decay. The few things that I do feel like I'm a bit sad is that Horn of Winter is something that I feel should be either very high on the tree or just disregarded and become like something you get from leveling. I do feel like Cold Heart is not doing enough damage to justify the point. I also feel like there is like something very much disregarded around Pillar of Frost. I'm going to show you guys in PvP. So Pillar of Frost does like there is no ramping up anymore. You get like a flat amount of strength. Like, it's not really a flat amount, it's like a percentile amount, but it's a flat amount because it's 30% for PvE. Remember, I said PvE. So 30%, and that's it. Like, every single time you're going to strike, it's going to be always 30%. So you're not going to start at 10% and getting back to a certain amount, like for example 30%. So that's a great thing until you know that in PvP it is nerfed to 12% strength, which is not that bad. Like, let's remember, if you have your Rune of the Fallen Crusader also proccing at the same time, it gives you around, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to read, 18% increased total strength. Is it nerfed in PvP? No, I don't think it's nerfed in PvP. I'm gonna try to get like a proc. But you can line those two up, and then you can do like your biggest go ever, obviously. It's not something you're going to, I don't know if you're going to play around that, but obviously if you have your Fall of the Crusader plus also your Pillar of Frost, it will do a big go, and that's something you might play around. For example, here we have like 18% strength. If I pop like my Pillar of Frost, it does insane amount of damage. Now, obviously, I'm lagging like too much to enjoy playing the dummy. Like, I'm really lagging a lot. I don't know how people understand that. I don't know how people do play with 150 ms, but for me, I'm always playing at 19 ms. So for me, 150 is very laggy. It's like times 10 the normal lag. So it's just not enjoyable. But I like the fact that you have your Pillar of Frost having a flat amount, so you don't need to build it up until the climax. But it's also a very good thing, so it's also easier to balance, because those stacking like abilities and CDs are very hard to contain, because again, if it's stackable, it means that the ability has to be very low bases, so you can stack until a proper amount. Now it's like a base of 12% strength in PvP, 30% in PvE. Obviously, I think it will be tuned. I think like because this is over 50%, even more than 50%, I think 60%, I'm not really counting, 60% nerf from PvE to PvP, so that's a sad thing. But what I like is the CD reduction. What I also like is enduring strength becomes a bit more interesting, because it gives you, your strength is increased by 20% for 6 seconds, and it lasts longer the more critical strikes you get from Obliterate. So it might give you a bigger window to deal a lot of damage. For example, if you have 12 seconds of Pillar of Frost and you land, like, let's say 3 or 4 Obliterates, which again, it depends, because you could also cleave them, so it can be like a longer duration. It will give you a lot of strength for a big amount of time. So 12 seconds plus, let's say 2 times 4, it is 8. 8 plus 6, it is 14. So 14 seconds increased strength above the 12 seconds. So you have like literally a 60% uptime on strength, which is going to be very strong and very interesting if you're going to play around that. So there is maybe a world where you're going to play that, but it really depends on the talents that you're going to pick. Maybe there's a world where you don't really care about like the increased damage from from your remorseless winter, and that's okay. So for example, if you remove those talents, you still have to have biting cold. I think that's still fine because you gain rhyme if you're hitting 3 different enemies, so it's always going to be interesting. You can play around enduring strength. I still think inexorable assault doesn't deal as much damage as before, so I don't feel like I'm like enjoying it too much. But there is a world where you play with chill streak, obviously, and then you have like all the big talents that can improve your Pillar of Frost, and you have like a lot of goes and mini goes that are going in with your Deathbringer, for example. You have your Reaper's Mark, which is doing insane amount of damage. You could also play a build around Remorseless Winter. That's perfectly fine. Imagine you're not playing too much around your Pillar of Frost, and that's okay. You remove even Ice Cap because you don't really care, and you're going to get the talents for Remorseless Winter, and then you can also have like talents for your Chilling Streak, so you can have a lot of damage by itself, and you don't really care about Frost Strike, so you're going to take, for example, this, and you're going to improve your Chill Streak to do a lot of damage. That is possible. Or for example, if you say to yourself, look, I don't really care about Frostworm's Fury. The only reason why I take it is to advance to a lower point on 3. You could say, look, I don't care about stun because I have a stun with Dead of Winter. And I also have Strangulate or Asphyxiate, depending on what you're taking on the PvP talents. And you can actually like say, look, only have 1 stun. I don't really care about the Frostworms. And I can then take another talent, for example, on Shattering Blade, or if I want to play around Icebreaker to deal even more damage. So you have like choices that you can make. And that's actually a great thing. Obviously, I think in PvP you always will be playing with Obliteration, but maybe you're playing dual wield and you don't really care about Glacial Advance because it doesn't deal that much damage, and your regeneration on those Razor Ices is not really as interesting or as needed. You could even play like this. And then whenever you're going to cleave, for example, you're like 2 targeting or 3 targeting someone PvP because you're gripping everyone, blinding sleet everyone, you could easily like play that as well and deal also a lot of damage AoE. So you have options. I still think like the left side is going to be pretty much taken. For example, this one, while Pillar of Frost is active, your auto attack critical strikes increases its duration by 2 up to a maximum of 6. So I think dual wielding will be very interesting because imagine if you're auto attacking, critting while doing Pillar of Frost, you're going to have a longer duration, which is going to result in a longer uptime on your crit. So it's going to be very interesting to play around. Icy Death Torrent is going to be insanely strong. I don't know if I have my one-handers by hand. So right now, the auto attacks critical strikes have a chance to send out a sleet of ice dealing 200k frost damage. It's frost, so it does get buffed by mastery, but if you take like for example double weapon, which unfortunately I didn't enchant both, it will be interesting to see if it's going to scale or not, and it doesn't really scale. So basically it can be interesting to play like a melee build, consistent damage, where you're going to crit a lot and you're going to have a lot of damage with Icy Death Torrent. Unfortunately it is a chance on, so it does like we have to test the proc rate, if the proc rate is good or not. But again, there's a lot of things that you can play around and have fun with. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm actually very excited about Frost Decay. I am thinking to main it like correctly and really till the end, until it gets boring, obviously, because they nerf it or they buff it or whatever. But I do think Season 1, I'll be maining DK because I think Unholy DK is insanely fun. Frost DK is insanely fun. I also think Blood DK, if you really want to make it work, it can work. So that's also a great thing to have, like a third spec being able to be played. But yeah, I feel like it's cool. And then if I look at the tier sets, I mean, it's quite nice as well. So you're really powered spending abilities deal 8% increased damage, so it's your frost strike. So you could maybe build a build around frost strike, and consuming runic power has a chance to increase your strength by 10%. So again, your fallen, like Rune of the Fallen Crusader, your Pillar of Frost, plus also enduring strength if you like your Pillar of Frost is gone. You have also your tier set, which is going to give you 10% strength. You have a lot of modifiers that are going to be very impressive once everything is lined up. The only thing that I'm like really concerned is what they usually do is they nerf the base abilities to line up with the CDs, and what I would like to see is that they nerf the CDs a bit and get the abilities a bit buffed, so you have like a lot of windows where you can deal damage and not only like run away like a sub rogue. But I do feel like with the hero towns, you have multiple play styles that are available to you, so you don't really need to be hit and running as a Frost DK. So I'm looking forward to. I'm looking very much forward to, like, the tier sets are like insanely fun and insanely good. Even if you're doing Dells, for example, this tier set looks fantastic for DKs, for example. This is more of a set for Paladins, and I would even say like this one is for Warriors, although this is pretty much naked, so I would be liking like something like this. But it looks very good. I think that the our team really did itself very correctly. I think it's like one of the best tier sets that we have in the game. I think the shaman ones are very much underwhelming. Like I already showed it, but I think it's like a pretty bad tier set. Like I am not going to wear that. It doesn't look good. But you have like other things that are pretty good. Like for example, this one. These ones are like also quite neat. And that's like aspirant, so if you're like getting honor gear, this is pretty much like something you're going to get. So I actually like it, so I look forward to play it on War Within. We have a few days left for the pre-patch, which is 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And then we have like in 1 month and a half the release, which is going to be very good. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Are you also excited about Frost DKs? Are you excited about the build options you have as a Frost DK? Are you excited about any other class? Let me know. I might make a video about rogues very soon, but I think rogues, what they have like not really that good are the hero towns, but I'll be making a video about it and talk about it a bit more in depth. But again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.